Hello and welcome to another episode of Linux and Code. Today we are, hopefully, finally finishing our basic CRUD app. Today we're talking about some advanced reads by ID and, finally, delete. Let's get started. Now, what if we wanted to just get back one of these items by ID? Well, that would be in our read, which we already have as a generic. So let's fix that. So in this same read file, we're going to add what's called a more specific route. It's going to be pretty similar to this, so we're going to copy it. And it's going to be almost like what we did for update. We're going to add this ID, and we're putting it before this get route because we want this to match before this does. And that's actually incorrect. In case somebody's not passing an ID, we want this to catch, and we don't want no ID to be passed to this route because that'll fail. So this actually needs to go below that route. And we're going to do find one, and again, we're going to underscore ID, req.params.id, and the reason we're not checking that this ID exists is because this route will only match if this ID is present. So this is only giving us one user back. We should still be catching this though, and I forgot to do that on the one above. We'll use this message in our response. Okay, so now we should be able to find by ID on user. So if we go and we get our whole list of users, which right now is just Bob, but it's an array, or Tom, I forgot I updated that name. Copy that, and now we can again do a GET request on this. Need this ID, and as soon as we send this request, we should see just an object that we get back instead of an array. And you can see that changes along with the route that we requested changing, and it's still a get, still status 200, good to go. So we're going to go ahead and do that same thing for our item as well. Again, just have to change a few things. This should be item instead of user. We'll also update our error message. And this is going to be a bigger difference in terms of seeing it in a request because when we get our entire list of items, there's a lot there, right? So now if we do an item specifically, this list will look a lot different. So we'll just copy a random ID here. And send that request. And we only get the one back. Now you can see that this is correct and that if we pass a bad ID, so I change this from an A to a B, we send it, we get nothing back because no ID exists with that. Now, you could change the error handling to catch that. Right now, the database did its query correctly, so it's just returning what it found, which is nothing. You could change that to throw an error. For right now, we're okay with this being null because people shouldn't really be guessing at IDs. They should be referencing something that already exists, so we're okay with that. But that is something that you could check and change yourself if you wanted to. So far we've done create, read, update. We just need to do delete. So let's open this up, and we're not going to use any of this that is here. So we're going to get rid of all of that, and this is going to be .delete. And this is going to take in, similarly to how our update and find one did, this is going to take in an ID, and it's going to have its usual function. And again, need to require user. Now this is different than anything we've done so far. So we're going to do a find one and delete. And this just takes an ID. So req.params.id .then and we're going to log this result because it may not be what you expect. And then we're going to return. I did this incorrectly. This should be .status first. 204 is a common response for a successful delete because it stands for no content. And so in this, we're just going to pass an empty JSON object. So that means that if we come over here and we call a delete on user, it would actually get rid of our user, but that has potential problems in that we reference that user in our existing items, right? It's referenced as a creator over here. And this gets into a debate on whether you want to do cascading deletes or not. We are not going to for right now. We're going to leave it for a later episode because it's more complex. That is something you would want to handle. And we're going to again catch an error. So again, we just don't want to pass that user to the client side. So what that means now is that we could remove a user, but we don't want to because it will brick our items. But we do want to be able to do this on items. So we're going to hop over here, paste this in. Again, require our item. And still doing by ID, but again, this is item instead of user. And now we can test that this works pretty easily. So we'll come over here to our requests. We will get all of our items. And let's get rid of this first one. We'll just copy this ID. And this is going to be, again, different than anything we've done so far. So we'll need that ID. We're still doing a put on items. But this ID is what we need, not that other one. And we actually don't need to pass in a body, but this is a delete, not a put. So let's send that request off and see what happens. You see here we get a delete. Right here, we are passing nothing back, and we get delete result, and it actually gives us back the document that's being deleted. This is important because this document is no longer present in the database. It's merely passing the result that it found and removed. So this is no longer there, so you don't really want to give it back to the user. And you can verify this by doing a get that we already set up on this same ID. So if we come up here to our top, get item by ID, pass this in, we should get a null back from this because that item has been removed. So there's nothing there, and that proves also that delete is working for us. Okay, that's all the time we have for in this episode. We'll get into more advanced routes in the next one. Hope you have a good day. Take care.